As we're setting this up, I'm doodling on a piece of paper, and I just attempted to hit Control Z after putting a line wrong.
Whoops. What was your physical action when you tried to do that? Did you like reach
No,
out?
I have a
Control
keyboard
Z
in front
on
of
an
me.
Imaginary keyboard. Okay.
No, I used my actual keyboard and I hit Control Z. It's because, like, see, I'm balancing my hand on my keyboard, like, because it's my press to talk. But this is also more or less how I balance my hand on my keyboard while I'm doing digital art. And usually why I'm doing that is so I can hit Control C.
Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome to beautiful summertime Kvatch here. Everything is great here in this city. Nothing is ruined.
Does Skyrim have seasons, or does Oblivion have seasons?
No.
Nope.
Neither Skyrim nor Oblivion have seasons. I mean, they have months that are named after, like, when in the calendar they are, but there's no weather. Like, it doesn't affect anything.
Which is actually kind of funny when you think about it. The fact that, like, there are months that they'll tell you, but you don't actually end up seeing those months reflected.
Anyway, so we have been tasked to enter this Oblivion Gate. Surely one of the very few we will actually have to enter in the course of this video game. To close it, on the logic of they could close it, so we probably can too, which I feel always was a bit of an iffy proposition. Oh yeah, the Daedra, who are native to this realm, can close the Oblivion Gate. So obviously, there's just a button somewhere inside, right? It's not some innate magical ability.
It does raise an interesting question about what the button's hooked up to, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not literally a button. We'll see what it is, but
let's go in.
You have to use it.
Wait, can we just go into? I forgot that you could do that. Imagine you're the guy watching and you just watch the person you sent to go deal with the Oblivion Gate just walk straight through it and then go through the gates of the city.
Yep. So this, to my recollection, combines what is going to become an extremely repetitive form factor of quest with an escort quest, although not 100%. So we're going to be doing this with that guard and his two guardettes, if I remember correctly. Although, actually, is that this one? Because I don't see them anywhere.
No, that's this one. We find them.
I never thought I'd see another friendly face. The others, taken. They were taken to the tower.
Yeah, so we gotta go to the tower.
Captain Mattias sent us.
God, I hate when I gotta go to the tower.
The gate. We were ambushed, trapped.
Nothing good happens in the tower. I don't even know why they built it.
But the others are strewn across that bridge. They took Menion off to the big tower. You've got to save him.
It is
you ever
weird
heard somebody
how...
say, I had the best time in the tower? I'm sorry, that was an inning. Please talk instead.
I was just going to say, it's weird how much, in retrospect, this gives modern Doom vibes, despite coming out 10 years before Doom 2016.
All right.
When you say modern Doom, as in, like, this feels like Doom 2016?
Just the color palette, the way that Doom 2016 envisions hell. I think they're drawing from the same sources. A lot of the same artists that sort of rendered similar hellscapes.
I mean, nobody's going to fault Bethesda, I think of really any era, about having top-notch concept designers. I think that this is like, the kind of the color palettes and the glow effects, the use of like 2006 Gabriel glow effects. It all comes together quite well. It gets old is the problem.
Yeah, it's fine the first time. It's just the 27th time that you're like, oh, can we not?
Like,
we have something different.
For anybody who's like wondering exactly why that is, try to imagine playing the entire game here, like all of Oblivion. There's like two colors. Everything is rocky or glowing. The two architectural fields. Occasionally there's an organic spine of some kind. Now, imagine that extrapolated to a whole game. And basically, that's kind of what this part of the game feels like. Whenever you go into one of these, it's a totally new layout, it's like a totally new environmental design, but it just looks like this. It feels like this.
They're also overly huge and expensive. Every single one of them is like, you could spend an hour going through it and, you know, killing every mob and looting every chest. And which again would be okay if this thing only came up like 4 times. But no, there's hundreds of Oblivion Gates in the game, and you have good reason to close a significant number of them. And they all just look like this.
Do they spawn in predetermined positions? Are they kind of more akin
there
to...
Are,
yes.
Yeah. There are 20 places, there are 20 gates that always spawn in the same place. And there are many more gates that, like, have general locations where they can appear. And I say many more, it's like... I think there's... Okay, I'm looking at the wiki here because I was wondering about some of these questions here, and it says there are 90 possible gate locations, but only 50 gates will actually end up appearing, plus the 10 fixed gates. The question I wanted to answer when I went to this page was, how many do you actually have to do for the main quest?
Okay, so this one, there's one in Bruma, the one at the end of the game. Are there any others? Do you need to do multiple ones in Bruma? I don't remember, because there's the bit where you resolve the Oblivion Crisis stuff attacking Bruma for the moment.
The good news is there's only apparently 3 gates you have to do.
Okay.
You will end up doing more, though, because, like, when I say that, it's not like these aren't, like, dungeons, for the most part, that are just out in the middle of nowhere. Like, there are gates that are going to appear places where your character is going to need to physically occupy, and while they're there, not only do they fuck up the skies and make everything all nasty and prevent you from being able to rest, they also just, like, spit out monsters, and that's a buzzkill. Like, you don't actually want that experience every time you're going to turn in your basket of goblin teeth.
It's like a proc-gen monster spawner combined with, like, a Ubisoft-style tower, but sometimes the towers can just be undiscovered and you have to climb them again.
That's like not far from how far you'd have to go to make this work in a modern context.
Jesus,
well, they weigh 1 feather each. I don't know if it ever explicitly defines a feather as a unit of weight.
I would prefer to interpret that as a pound rather than a kilogram.
1 weight unit.
Yeah. This guy dropped a bow.
The imperial weight unit of Cyrodiil. It's an I walk. An imperial weight unit of Cyrodiil. Weight unit, so it'd be I walk.
Oh, is he dead? Oh wow!
Yeah, it looks like the heaviest arrows that existed weighed about.
I thought that guy was invincible, but I guess not. Oh well.
A cursory Google appears that like the heaviest arrows that were actually used in warfare appear to weigh about 1/4 pound. Which there is interesting implications for attempting to shoot a pound heavy arrow. What was your question?
Oh, I'm trying to determine if I should bother with the Kvatch armor here.
What about ballistas? Do those count as arrows?
No.
That does give me more armor. But it does lose my fortified.
Okay, those are bolts. Is there a specific point at which an arrow becomes so heavy it becomes a bolt?
Bolts is for a crossbow.
Is that the only reason that ballistas technically don't count as arrows?
No, but... Okay, here's the thing. And people have already alluded to this in the comments, and it's true, is that, like, if you're talking about, like, bolts and arrows and, like, long swords and short swords and daggers, it's very much the equivalent of, like, someone traveling from the future and saying, do you know what the difference between a car and an automobile is? And you're like, well, I mean, I guess an automobile could be anything like a truck, but a car is usually just like smaller, like for a civilian. They're like, no, an automobile is manufactured in Europe and a car is manufactured in America. And you suddenly realize, like, oh, they needed different words to describe cars than we did. Because they're describing... Because we only need to talk about the cars that are right in front of us, and then if we need to talk about a specific car, we just say that specific car. But they're just making very broad conversations about cars from, like, across 500 years and an entire world. So they've just... They've kind of hacked the language into these very specific categories. And then they get into arguments about them. To which I'm saying, like, I don't know if you would go to a person, like, in medieval England and say, which of these is an arrow and which of these is a bolt, and get anything but a blank stare. For all I know, they would just say, like, that one's an arrow for a crossbow, and this one's an arrow for my other bow. And if you said, what about that big thing the ballista shoots, I guess that's like an arrow.
Were they even really doing ballistas in medieval England anymore?
I don't think so.
Oh,
not that I know.
Oh, these guys don't like me very much. I'm not popular with the demons. Going to abuse the power of doors. What do we got? We still don't really have a lot of healing. In fact, I don't think we... Guess we're doing this. Boop. Yeah, we've definitely hit the point in Oblivion combat where it all just sort of sucks. And everything's got way too much health. The Staff of Flame is out of charges? Fucking...
Oh yeah, that's the other reason you gotta keep doing these. Well, not directly, but... So, the other reason is that... Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry, I didn't interrupt.
They gated off enchantment behind the Mages Guild, which means that the only easy way for a non-mage to enhance a weapon is to get the rocks they have at the end of these, which are also level scaled, incidentally. So if you finish the main quest before a certain level, all of your rocks are going to suck, and all of your weapons are going to suck too.
More annoying is the rocks are very random in their effect, and they can be very powerful, but you're not guaranteed to get the appropriate one from any given dungeon, so...
The idea is that you're basically just doing dozens of these, so you can get the ones you want.
I also remember these being a pretty good place to get both souls and soul stones. But I could just...
I don't remember that being the
have
case.
A soul trap power? No.
I was like, I don't remember that being the case, but I also just don't... I have no memories of that whatsoever. It sounds right. I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of mechanics in Oblivion that I could discuss in pretty significant detail, or that I know a lot about. And that's because they were mechanics that I got a little interested in as a kid when I played it. And then when I grew up and played Oblivion again with a more critical eye, I noticed things and kind of like isolated them. When I was a kid, I blew through all of these Oblivion gates because I hated them. And as an adult, I did as few of them as possible. So I don't know much about them.
The other problem is they kind of kneecap the game's biggest strengths, right? Like, the whole game was marketed on it's like, welcome to Cyrodiil, go anywhere, huge open environment, that for the first time was sort of accessible to a general audience. Because Morrowind had been released on the original Xbox, but it was a port of Morrowind, which was never going to do super great with a controller input. We actually, when we did our Morrowind quick look, had to go look up the interface, and it was kind of clown shoes. So this was like the first time I think a lot of people got exposed to the Bethesda model of an open world. You know, people had already seen Grand Theft Auto 3 at that point, so they were used to the idea. But Grand Theft Auto doesn't let you interact with every individual you see. Grand Theft Auto just treats people as like target practice. But the Oblivion Gates take all that away, right? You are just in a tower going to the top. That is all you're doing here.
It's easy to imagine this being fun as a stealth thing. Like, it's easy to imagine a version of this where, like, you're going in and you're infiltrating, like, behind enemy lines, kind of, and it's like a sabotage mission. Like, that would feel very satisfying. I don't think that it ended up being terribly practical or effective in Oblivion, because I think that the Oblivion stealth is just very mixed in terms of how practical and effective it can be without just breaking it with magic items.
I think a more competent development team would be interested in making each one of these sort of tell its own story. I think, knowing Bethesda, they're pretty happy with making them all basically glorified combat arenas. Like, because Bethesda's whole thing is ultimate player empowerment, and so, like, what else are you going to do in the giant Daedra Tower other than just kill your way to the top?
You know, it's really sad that I'm not even really thinking about buying Starfield.
I didn't say it by name.
We had to come back to it eventually, right?
Jesus, this thing does a lot of damage.
It's not even like a matter. It's not like a matter of principle. It's not like a matter of passion or argument. It's just that I saw the trailer for Starfield and there wasn't anything in it that I thought was particularly cool. And then it got to the factions where they're all talking about what they want, and like it was like It's like I was taking a sip of a cocktail that I got a really bad hangover for once. Or just like eating something that eventually made me sick. Where I'm just like, the patterns of how they're talking and how they're looking at the camera. Like, this is all reminding me of like the grinding mediocrity of politics in a Bethesda game. And how like, whenever they try to get into politics and present politics, it all rings so hollow and ugly. And, you know, Skyrim was a qualified success, I'd say. But the more you were forced to really engage with it, the more you're forced to really interact with it, the less sense it made. And I just realized how much I didn't want this. Like, how annoying it would be to sit through all of it. And that just kind of killed it. It pushed me from apathy to, like, active disinterest. Like, do you want Starfield or some random game you've never heard of? I guess I'll try the game I've never heard of.
I'll probably play Starfield just to see what's... Oh dear. I know there's a hole there. Just to see what, like, fucking 8 years has done for Bethesda's design and writing.
Our math, though, is
Fallout
like
4 was what,
I could
2016, so...
If there's reviews come out that are just, like,
I guess 6 years.
radically challenging people's viewpoint on what it was, like, then sure, fine, great, like, awesome, yeah, like, I'll take a look. But I feel like I already know what I'm getting into, and I don't feel the need to see it in action, you know? You know, I'll say this,
So,
like, go ahead.
No,
I'll
I
come
was
back
about
to it.
change
I could come
subjects,
back
so
to
go
this
ahead.
anytime. I can come back to
Okay,
this
I was just going to say,
Is
is the person we just killed a human or, like, a humanoid Daedra? Because, like, it's weird to me that
humanoid
there are people
Daedra.
here. Okay.
They're not all
They look.
leather or
They.
something.
It's very much a factor of like these were just straight up monsters in other games, but then like
Don't worry.
Oblivion has its face gen and stuff that it uses for everything, so they just kind of made like a Dremora NPC basically. Which, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. There's no reason not to do that. I guess that's technically probably what they did in Morrowind too, but they look stupid. they look very stupid.
They look kind of like Zabraks from Star Wars.
It honestly, they really didn't come out good. They look because the face textures and stuff in this game are so blotchy and bleary that a lot of the things that are supposed to make them look like demons end up just looking like badly applied Halloween makeup. And honestly, I feel like this was a real nadir of how they depict like Diedrich's stuff in their games. I think it just looks pretty bad in this game. I think a lot of the armor and weapons don't really look their best. Yeah, it's all
they're
muddy.
really bad. Like, it's... Yeah, I'm not a fan of really any of the character art stuff in this game.
Weirdly, I would say that the armor and weapons particularly looks like LARP weapons and LARP armor. And I don't mean that in like kind of a metaphorical sense. I mean it literally does look like the armor and weapons people who LARPed in the 2000s used. Like it's all kind of chunky and like exaggerated in a very like mall ninja kind of way, but also it all looks kind of blunt and big and padded.
All right, I'm done with this.
The cross guard on this dagger is like half a foot wide, just to...
Pretty much, like this is, like you look at this and you're like, oh, I see, you pad the crossguard. That's smart. You know, if you've got a big crossguard like that, you can't be too careful. Have you had that checked out by a range officer?
We did
All right,
it.
so this is it. Yep. As soon as you touch this began my fascination with the style of video game gameplay that would not be fully explored until the release of City of Brass, which is video games where you could just jump around and dodge all these enemies you're supposed to fight, and then at the end, like, touch a thing, and you get out of it all scot-free. Because that's how I would do all of these. I would just hop around past all of the enemies and then grab the rock at the end.
Close the gate.
Because the second you grab the rock, you could stop being in the Oblivion Gate, and nothing is more important to me in that moment than no longer being in the Oblivion Gate.
No, it is essentially the objectively correct way to do this.
Now. I can wait, but not for long. We've got to move quickly before they have a chance to barricade the city gate. The longer we wait, the smaller our window of opportunity. Get ready and do it quickly. We've got to move soon.